Welcome to On Marketing, a show where we explore marketing's first principles, mental models, and my favorite, contrarian takes. My aim is not to tell you what to think, it's assisting you in improving how you think about marketing and life. It's November 17th, 2023. I'm Jordan Ogren, a marketing strategist by day and a podcast host by night. Today's episode is special as I have two guests. This is the first time I've ever done this. Joining me today are Timber Smith, the DEI coordinator at the City of Appleton, and Anaam, also at the City of Appleton as a communications and public engagement manager. And these two individuals both host the Appleton Engage podcast. While this was, as I said, my first time, this episode went way better than I expected, but really that shouldn't be a surprise as both of these people are co-hosts of a podcast, so obviously they know what they're doing. I let them run with it. In our conversation, we discuss how understanding your audience and context is crucial for effective marketing and comms, how storytelling is a powerful marketing tool for creating impactful content and building relationships, how collaboration leads to more successful marketing strategies by bringing in diverse perspectives, how podcasting is an effective platform for sharing stories and resources and building community engagement, and finally, the importance of pursuing hobbies and interests outside of work to improve the work you do. Ready to get into the episode? Before we do, make sure to subscribe to the newsletter where you get new episodes every Friday and I share extra insights, different thoughts, and concepts that I'm working on. The link to sign up for that is in the first line of the show notes. Thank you. And also a reminder that if you're watching this, you can listen to it as a podcast. And if you're listening to this as a podcast, you can head to YouTube and see my beautiful mug and watch this episode. Finally, this is for the legal department. All opinions shared in this podcast are individual views of the host and the guest, not representing their employers or associated organizations. This content is intended for informational purposes only and should not be considered professional marketing guidance. Listeners act on the information provided at their own risk. See you on the other side. First question, what is marketing?
So marketing is a very umbrella term, but it really gets granular when we see the audience we cater to or the organization we work for. So I, as a communication specialist, have worked for different organizations. So the first part is always to understand who you are serving to and what kind of product you are launching in the market. So that's in the corporate sense, but when you are in a government or administration, it's what kind of services you are basically marketing them with. So it's very important to learn exactly which industry you're getting into and use the same basic principles you have learned in the college, but the usage becomes totally different after understanding the market you are working with.
I'm going to say something like one of these crazy things like marketing is life. And the reason I say this is because you literally are always marketing, even if you're marketing yourself. Right. And we may not realize like that is something that we're constantly doing, but it is something we're constantly doing. We're constantly marketing ourselves to whether it's our families or society or whatever other groups that we're part of. We're always promoting ourselves. We're branding ourselves. So marketing is life.
I love that. I think that's why so many metaphors are applicable to marketing because it's just so relatable, whether it's there's definitely people against like dating metaphors to your point. You're always marketing yourself. You're always trying to be seen with the people that then your significant other one would be like, oh, he's credible. And I mean, the same would be true for marketing. If you're seen with credible people, it's one of the persuasion tactics. But I really like that kind of large umbrella. But Andy, I really enjoyed how you talked about the who or the market, which gets to the fact of the importance of context in marketing, that the context kind of directs or changes how you market. How do you think about context in the terms of communications and marketing? Like, how do you know what context you're in to then change your marketing or do it better?
Oh, absolutely. Context is crucial to the marketing tactics. Let's say we are marketing to an age group who doesn't have access to digital media. So you have to significantly think of what are the challenges and how you can overcome without kind of pushing them to the edge. So we had to look for the other marketing tactics like reaching them in person, doing some booths. So it continues to evolve. marketing these days with the advent of social media have totally changed 360 degrees. So the way we are seeing things, the way we are experiencing products is very different than what it was 10 years back. Even the old population is these days using Reels and Instagram. And I was like looking at one of the Reels, which was like a pianist. He's in his late 70s. So he was using that platform to reach out to his people, and he's a maestro. So we didn't even know that, people of that age are, so inclined to use this as a platform. So context is very important. You have to understand the narrative where you are coming from, and also the platform which you will use. Like for Appleton Engage, we chose a platform, a podcast, because we were like tapping upon that radio experience of people years back. So podcast is just a reinvent of that radio experience. So if you ask my dad, hey, do you listen to this podcast? Oh, so, okay, you're talking about something like a radio show? Yes. So, but the thing is, like, you had to tune in live. But this is what the best part of podcast is, like, you can record, you can listen it when you want to. So I think the context and even the platform has evolved a lot. So you have to really think it through exact what kind of messaging you are trying to reach out with and what would be the best way to reach out with. So if you're looking for a young population, go back to Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok. You're going for a middle-aged, TikTok or Instagram. Instagram not so, Facebook more. But if you're like 70s, 60s, 50s, Facebook would be the way to go. So that's how we filter through the platforms. But yes, it's a very different time we are living in, and we have so much information, so it gets critical and sometimes very confusing too.
Dimberg, you got anything to add to that?
Nope.
She did a solid job.
She
nailed it.
No, but you know what? Timber does a podcast called Kosh Podcast, and I think you know that too. And he does the marketing. So he's trying to be humble here, but he does the entire marketing and even whatever cover picture you see and the branding of that stuff. So he knows stuff. He's just trying to be.
I'm learning stuff is what I'm gonna say. I haven't quite figured that out. Maybe a little better at the branding part, more so than the marketing part. And I'm trying to learn myself, like how to target specific audiences and what are the tools that you utilize to do that.
Yeah, and it's constantly, as Andy noted, changing, right? That the context, the generation, everything is always rapidly changing, which for me, it makes the importance of critical thinking, or just in general thinking, like what is the message, rather than, oh, everybody's on Facebook, I'll run Facebook ads. It's like, well, is your audience there, and the message you're trying to say, is that best put into a Facebook? Or as you just said about your podcast, which I want to get to later, if you have this longer message, or you have maybe more emotional message, maybe that audio video component can get that message delivered better. So I really like that. But I mean, to the point, it's quite complex. So you have to think a little bit.
It is.
I love that. So it seems that both of you have been in, whether it's, communications, podcasting, marketing for a bit. What's something that has changed that you believed 5 years ago, 10 years ago, maybe even a year ago? And today, you're not maybe 180 on that belief, but you struggle to hold that same belief because you've seen things, you've experienced things. Does anything come to mind in marketing, branding, podcasting?
So if you ask me, one powerful thing which I never used to believe in when I was younger than what I am today, is the power of collaboration and tapping the knowledge of people coming from different backgrounds. This is huge if you see it. Like, if I would have been in India, I would have been working with my own folks and might have a tunnel vision maybe. But when I came to state, that thing opened up. There are so many truths and so many pathways to reaching the same location and destination and goal. That's the power of collaboration. So if you look at this podcast we do, or the work I do every day, we collaborate, and we collaborate with people with different ideas, notions, customs, convention. And this is what makes the marketing so much powerful and impactful, both in positive and negative way. So when it comes to positivity, of course, I tap upon your rich experience you have got through your education or your value system, or your understanding of different topics. Negative side, if you can be completely a tunnel vision now, and just tap upon one thought of thinking and go with it, and it may still generate a lot of feed for you in a negative way. We have seen in politics too how things can completely go unidirectional, and the same tactics can somehow be so much positively impactful. So I believe that the power of collaboration and tapping the diverse backgrounds of different people and putting them on the table, listen, learn, educate yourself, and grow is a significant step to better marketing strategy. If you ask me, I was not a firm believer, or maybe I did not see the potential coming in, but today I firmly believe that you cannot nail a single marketing strategy by yourself. You need the power of people in that.
That's good.
What I would say I've come to learn, and I won't say that I necessarily didn't believe in it 5 years ago. I'll say that I didn't even know really maybe that it existed 5 years ago. How about that? Is like the power of personal branding. Like how powerful and that type of marketing, being able to create a personal brand that becomes familiar and people gain trust in it, and then when they see it, they're instantly they you jump past the normal filters you may have to go for familiar, trust, I'll listen. I think there's something powerful with that, and to be very conscious about how you create a personal brand for yourself so you can cut through that. That's something I wouldn't have really thought about 5 years ago, but now, like, when you think of influencers, in a sense, like, I think that's kind of the formula. And to be a successful one, you must create a successful brand. So that's definitely something I've learned, kind of watching trends online.
Yeah, I was gonna note, I feel for maybe my generation, personal branding is kind of table stakes. Like it's just a very maybe individual, like I've been personal branding for 6-7 years, right? Like it just was natural. Like this is how I get jobs. This is how I connect with people. It's not, maybe the old traditional way of sending out 50, applications and doing 50 cover letters. Actually, the job I currently have with O'Connor Connective came through that. I posted about being laid off, and instantly, DMs came, and it was connecting with Bridget, the CEO there. So that was the testament to the kind of power of branding, and the fact I think that people, I don't want to maybe put an age, but there's a certain age that you can see the pendulum of like, why would I do that? Like, I'm not going to put myself out there like that. Versus kids, it's like, how couldn't I put myself? This is how I do social media. So I find that to be unique, the generational differences or ways they see.
Jordan, I'm okay. You can put my age out there like that because I am the person you are talking about.
I didn't want to point fingers, so if the shoe fits, I appreciate
I'm okay
you
with
putting
that.
it on.
Shoe fits.
I love it. And Andy, I did want to just touch on that collaboration. I think many times we create our marketing in silos, whether it's a marketing plan or a content series, but I've really found much value in content I've consumed, having it be a collaborative piece. It's a company, but they're getting insights from 10 CMOs, or they're connecting with another company. And it's like the content or the marketing is far better than if done by themselves. So I really enjoy that kind of touch on that, because it's not talked about maybe enough in the marketing. I know kind of in, making change and all of that things, I think collaboration is kind of a buzzword, and a lot of people are talking about that. Community change comes through collaboration, and that's understood. But with marketing, I think it's becoming more understood as we move in the future. Awesome. Well, you talked about it a bit. You both have a podcast. Before I ask any questions on the podcast, I'd love for you just to maybe give kind of like to any of the listeners on here why they should listen, what's it about, before I kind of drill you with a few questions on it.
I will leave that question to Timber first, because he's the one who came up with this wonderful idea of podcast. I knew about podcasts, but I was never a part of one of them, like in terms of being the marketing lead or even doing the scripting. So yeah, Timber, go ahead.
Well, what I would share about, there's 2 podcasts that I participate in. I have one personal podcast called The Kosh, which is centered around Oshkosh and the surrounding Fox Cities region. And then I share a podcast with Andy here, and that one is called Appleton Engaged. And really the one difference between the two is the Cash really focuses on getting to know your neighbors, ripping down the silos, doing long form interview style of just talking to people, understanding who they are, and how do they engage the community, how do they feel things are going in the community, and then being able to share a topic of the week of their choosing. um Average episode is like an hour and 20 minutes to 2 hours plus.
Wow.
We just let people go and really talk. And really the cool thing that happens is it's very conversational, and it's a way to rip down silos. I have very much had the feeling like we don't know our neighbors anymore. We don't know the people that live in our community like that anymore. And like this really makes you understand how rich and how diverse and how engaged our community really is. And then Appleton Engaged, on the other hand, the approach was we have such a resource rich region here in Appleton and the surrounding Fox Cities area that most people don't know all the great resources that are available. And we created that podcast from a DEI lens, a diversity, equity, and inclusion lens. And the thought process is there's four things that tend to help make a community feel inclusive and people feel like they belong. And that is to create opportunities to build trust, on from the community side and those institutional sides with the community, um, to celebrate engagement, create opportunities for engagement, particularly community engagement, um, representation, showing the various types of representation in the community, and then most importantly, in this case, the resources, making sure that we point out all the amazing resources that we have.
Yeah, I recently saw you shared a post with or a podcast episode with Eden Weller. So I am got that on in my queue. But why, with everything you just said, makes a lot of sense. But why wouldn't you just create a social media post for each of these resources? Why wouldn't you have a newsletter that delivers? And maybe you do, but like, why podcasting? Why was that the channel for this message?
I think there's something powerful about actually like auditorially being able to hear people tell their stories and hear them use their words and say it their ways. And podcasting as the platform in particular, what I like about it is I think in a lot of ways, it's the platform of today, in the sense of when you think about radio from back in the day, you turned on your radio and you worked while you listened to the radio, and you wash clothes, you do dishes, you fix the garage, whatever it is, you put it on in the background and you continued on with the day while you were able to engage and connect with the radio, right? Well, podcasting very much does the exact same things, except for you get the opportunity that it's on demand, which and it has that instant gratification component, which is very attractive to today's generations, right? So there's just something about that, to me, that type of platform to be able to communicate and connect with people.
Absolutely. I mean, you can humanize the, entire experience, because when you see a particular graphic, because in the sea of so many graphics, that gets lost. So if you look at the marketing tactic we have used, we have also added a a audio clip to the graphic. So it's not a static graphic, and people exactly know whether I want to listen to this one or maybe I will save it for later, whatever it is. But that audio itself creates a strong sense of belonging, that okay, I need to listen to this, because I always believe every episode we record, it does not only impact the people who are listening, it also impacts us as a person, like, oh, I didn't know about this. See, so much work goes on, and before you criticize people, just see how much work is already being done, and whether you want to be a part of it, part of that discussion, part of that conversation, or you just want to criticize because you love criticizing people. So I think that's a great directory where you can jump in, volunteer, donate, support, whatever you want to do. Our podcast is an open directory for people. Just see the people what they're doing, and if it interests you, hey, just indulge into that conversation. So that's the entire idea, and I think it is impactful, and I hope moving forward that it will continue to create the impact we are envisioning for this project.
I love that. Yeah, I think as you're talking there, I'm trying to in my head think, okay, I've read a lot of things that have maybe brought me to an emotional state, but that level of writing needs to be very competent to get me there. Think about anytime someone starts to talk and they get emotional. I don't know about you, but boom,
Oh,
I'm
absolutely.
instantly going to the bathroom. I'm kind of, my head's down because I'm crying too. So I think that's something you can't get in written form, no matter if you literally transcribe what they said. It's like that voice, the way that it was excited, sad. Oh, I love that. That really stood out to me as why kind of for these stories, it's very impactful to use audio to share. I love that. What, after you've been doing a little bit of podcasting, how has podcasting maybe changed or reshaped your approach to marketing, business? Has it kind of further reinforced something, or did it open your eyes? And maybe there were things we've shared already, but maybe it opened your eyes to something new that you would have never saw if you didn't jump in the podcast world.
It did change a lot for us, and I think both as co-host of the podcast, we didn't see many things, what this project entailed. We just thought of like, we'll have a conversation, but that's what I say, it impacts us every day. We have seen guests choking on the episodes, like they are unable to speak because there was a storytelling component, and when they said why they do this thing, what passion drives them to do things, they chokes up. I mean, those are fascinating stories behind their passion and why they triumphed in the course they have chosen for themselves. So yes, our marketing tactics, even if you see, I have kept it deliberately intentionally black and white, because you can see both of us come from different demographics, ethnicities. So it is important that we have these honest conversation with the people who come on this platform. We ask them good questions, good discourses, and try to like change our lens to like, maybe this the lens I was reading in school in the books, so doing to change a bit of my mindset. So yeah, I'm telling you, like, undoing your mindset is itself a very difficult thing, because you have been raised with that. You have been raised with that culture. So it helps us to like make our marketing better, our questions better. The way we caption our episodes becomes a little different every time I post. Like, I try to ask, hey, do you want to do this? Do you want to, have you ever felt of joining a children organization which helps for the advocacy? So we try to change captions. We try to change little bit of picture or the way we present the information a bit. But yes, this is pretty impactful for us, and we didn't see what we are going to see in this conversation, but I love this podcast every day. I think I became a better person, if you ask me, and I continue to learn every day.
I'm very surprised by the impact of it. But as far as from a marketing standpoint, I'm really like, my thing was making podcasts, and Andy brought marketing to it. And so that has drastically increased the reach of this podcast. This podcast is doing, I've been doing the Kosh for what will be 2.5 going on 3 years. And this podcast has already caught up to my audience of the of the Kosh, and we just started this one. We really released our first episode, I believe, in June. Is that right, Andy?
That's right.
So, I mean, and that was because of the different marketing techniques that Andy brought to it, the branding, the visualization, utilizing this snippet, the audio snippet when you scroll by, like it just starts talking to you. Like, there's so much I'm learning from her about that, that I didn't know what I didn't know. So like, it's impressive, and you can tell it's making a difference because of the way people are engaging us about the content. People are listening. Like, there's true ears out there paying attention.
I love that. Andy, do you want to give us one of those? I mean, he listed a lot of those, but like, what was the one thing that you brought to the podcast from a marketing standpoint that you think helped the most, or maybe it wouldn't be where it's as much impact if not that, if whatever tactic or thing was done?
That's a good question, Jordan. I will not take credit because again, it's the power of collaboration, you see. But what I believe was like, DEI is a difficult topic, especially for older population. They sometimes don't understand exactly what DEI stands for. And sometimes because of our political narrative, it just gets automatically in our brain that DEI is something which is divisive or something which has underlying negative connotation, or it's like dividing communities instead of uniting them by voicing one community's voice over other, which is actually not the truth. So to get the DEI lens into a city space was a very challenging perspective. So that's why I said first step was to make it black and white. Just take the colors away from everybody's face, make it black and white, so that they just can only indulge in the information part of it. Second, creating a list of questions, which Timber did. He created a list of questions so that we can keep the guest on that path. He may share everything around it, but it should not divert into a space where we do not want to land up. That could be a different space, but not in this space. So DEI space here was to the goal was to keep it clean and just resource specific. And the third part was taking out the clip out of it, what exactly this podcast is about. It's a short format, as you see, it's a 30-minute, 35-minute long. So people don't have to listen to too big of an episode, and they just can click, listen, and done. So that was another way to look at it. And then we uploaded on different platforms. We increased the number of platforms we were reaching out to our people, like on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. LinkedIn was actually a big hit because most of our guests who are professional in their field, networks on that platform. And then the last but not the least, the captions, the way we're sharing the resource. We always have their Facebook, their website, and how to contact them listed on that particular caption we give, so that people just do not only listen to this podcast, but also go to the post and find out the information about them. So it's like giving them writing information in writing, giving them audio clip. So I think it's a good package if you see. They don't have to look even for the real person who is behind this particular organization. Sometimes we wonder who is the guy am I going to speak to? So that is the work we are doing for you. So now you know who you have to reach out to. Just go call them up, reach out to them, sign up, and whatever you need to do. So that was the idea from the marketing perspective. And I think we'll continue to delve deeper and see if there are other specific ways we can improve in the ways we reach.
What I will say is particularly Appleton Engaged is almost like a marketing trade-off. Our podcast grows with each guest and the association of the different resource that they're associated with, and them giving us the background and how do they help the community, and how we as a community can help them. But the trade-off is we are also promoting their organization, their resource, and we're pushing them out there in their voice. Right. And we're raising their platform, because since Appleton Engage is a city's podcast, this is kind of saying, the city, not that it endorses it, but we're saying, yeah, this is good stuff happening in our city. And we do endorse the good things happening in our city. And so that's marketing in itself too.
Wow, that's beautiful. And both your answers, I mean, it seems like there's so much both in the distribution of it, but even kind of the design of it, to design it in the 40 or 20 to 30 minute rather than this line. So it's so interesting at times the output is there's so many different decisions that were made to get to your point, Andy, some output that is accessible, that can instantly get the person to understand this is a cause or this is something I need to engage with. That's really powerful, but it takes a lot of work, right? You can't just say, I'm going to turn on a camera without those questions, without some of these things. It doesn't happen. I think that's the typical overnight success is never truly overnight. There's a lot of time.
And Jordan, you work in the marketing, and you will know that it looks candid, but everything is by design.
Yes, sadly, the
So
curtain has been pulled for the market, for non-marketers out there. Yeah, no, we're always designing things. That's great. So I think I got a lot from that, even just as a podcaster, kind of that I'll be able to apply. But I think I'm ready to jump into the marketing hot seat if you both are ready.
okay.
So first question of the hot seat: storytelling or data-driven content for creating impactful content?
Storytelling for me.
Facts.
Live community events or engaging over digital avenues, whether a podcast or even social media, which would you choose?
I will go for live for sure because there's no other avenue to live. But yes, depends upon the flexibility and the need of the hour. I will choose both of them.
I think it matters what is trying to be communicated.
Correct.
I
It
think they each,
depends.
yeah, it
It de-
depends. They each have their pluses and minuses depending on what. But I do lean where Andy's leaning, that nothing tops in person.
100%. Guest diversity or topic diversity, if you had to choose?
Guest.
Same.
Which is the future, video or audio?
Hmm. For some people, video does a great impact, but for some, audio does the best. Like for older generation, audio, yes, hands down. Especially people who are always traveling, the audio is the best one for them. Yes.
I'm gonna go video, just with the way of hardware is going.
I like that. All right, now we're jumping into the yes or no. So if you have more comments, add, but a yes or no is sufficient. Is quantifying community engagement important to having successful engagement in the community? Is it important to track it?
Yes.
Yes.
Is humor an effective tool in addressing serious issues, such as maybe DEI or other things along those lines? Is humor a way to kind of talk about tough things?
Yes, but it should be in a good sense.
Yes.
Do you need a mentor or somebody kind of that you can seek wisdom from to succeed in business, or do you see more peer-to-peer connection and that is enabling to rise someone to the ranks, or do they need a mentor?
Peer to peer, maybe?
Both.
I love it. Will podcasts still be around in 10 years?
Yes.
Yes.
Is distribution, sharing of the podcast important for that podcast to be successful, or can you just record it and not share it or distribute it?
Distribution is very important.
Correct. I second that.
All right, now finally, open-ended questions so you can give a little bit more to the answer. What's one mental model or framework you've used to improve your podcast?
Looking at the analytics, actually. It helps us to shape like where exactly we are going, because we are seeing a lot of women are tuning in. And as a woman, I can say we are more emotional. So the power of storytelling becomes much more important for us in the podcast. But we are not saying that we do not cater to our other audience segments. So we are also looking at ways to entice them into listening. So yeah, it helps us to get our A game on.
I don't think I got a good answer for that yet.
Pass. That's all good.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a pass.
Phone a friend. All right. What's a book or resource that has helped you the most in your career, whether that be marketing or even just self-management or other things? Is there a book or resource that comes to mind?
48 Laws of Power.
I agree with that because I travel with him a lot. So I have started using those audiobooks. So yeah, that is powerful. To understand the human nature, yes.
And who is that? I'm forgetting the author. Who is Green?
Yes. Is it Michael Green? Don't quote me on that. I did. Yeah, because here's the thing. I do audiobooks. I don't do hardcover books. So sometimes I never really get to know who the author is. Like I just press play and I go.
Get the nuggets from it, right? Get the
Right.
insights. I love that. What is one piece of advice you would share with whether a company or just a person that's thinking about starting or doing a podcast? What's a piece of advice?
learn your audience first, and what's your theme, and who are you catering to. Just choose guests accordingly.
Know, yes, definitely know your audience. Know what you're trying to convey. Know what what your message is, or what are you doing it for? Who are you talking to? Um, what's the purpose? I mean, know your purpose, I guess, is the best way to put it.
Oh, that'd be good for both podcast and life. But what's one of the most unconventional pieces of advice you've given or you've received on business marketing that actually now it's like that has helped a lot, even though it was quite unconventional when received or given?
This was given to me by one of my first mentor, and she told I was getting worked up, and I said I'm burning out, and this person always comes and gives me a bunch of work and doesn't delegate the same to other people. And then she said, and the work is given to those who know how to do it. So don't take it that way. Yeah, you have every right to complain if you're like, no, I can't take it anymore. But always remember, they find you competent, and that's why you are being chosen to do the work. So, just believe in yourself and, continue to do, because you will learn at the end of the day. If nothing else, you will learn a lot.
A mentor can only take you as far as they've been. And what I mean by that is you sometimes have to know when to shed a mentor and get a new mentor. There's levels to it.
Oh, that's good. It's almost like that rocket that has to release that thing on the side. Obviously, I'm very unintelligent with it, or I know the name, but that's kind of that to get to that height, you can't carry all that. And that's probably a metaphor that could apply to like baggage and stuff. But aside from that, thank you for making it through the hot seat. Now I love to jump into some life questions, because I think a lot of marketing, as you open Timber, is life. It's the way we think about things. If I view people as tools, my marketing will be quite transactional. So I find this powerful. So the first question I like to ask is based off of a movie. It's called Inception with Leonardo DiCaprio. If you haven't heard it, I'll give you a real rough spark notes. They go into people's minds, they incept dreams. That person wakes up the next day with that dream, thinking the dream was theirs. So maybe it's to sell my company, or maybe it's to do something. So if you could incept one idea in the mind of every human, whether it's about marketing or business or life, that they wake up tomorrow and they act out of that idea, that belief as their own, what's that idea that you incept?
Timber, you want to go first?
I'll take a crack at it. That we are more the same than different.
Oh, I love that. That's good.
If you ask me, it's actually a hard question for me, but I'll say just open your mind and absorb the beauty you see in different people and just explore. Life is too short. Play it big.
I love that. I love that. Both really good answers. What is a value or belief that you think deserves more attention, more focus, and more actualizing that we aren't currently doing today? So maybe for me, it's temperance, discipline. I think we need more of that. What's a virtue, a belief that you think needs more focus today?
I will say learn to unlearn things which have been taught. If you feel like your rationale is saying something else, it's time to unlearn things which your culture told you to. So for me, that's a big debacle sometimes. But yes, sometimes you have to fight that debacle and say, hey, this is what the right thing to do is. So learn to unlearn.
I think learning the importance of time. And maybe the better way to put it is the realization that time is the most valuable resource you are ever blessed with.
I love that. Every newsletter I send on Fridays, I end with every second counts, because I truly believe how we use our time is of the most. And I think with giving of time, yes, I can write a check for $1 million, or I can't, but someone can. But to give every week to a charity or something with my time, yeah, that's powerful. I love that.
It's the most valuable resource you have to give.
Because you can't recreate more of it. I mean, you can extend yours, but
well, you think. I mean, you can't necessarily make more of it. You don't know how much of it you have, and when it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah, can't go bankrupt on time and come back, right? But money, you can make your way back to $1 million or whatever. Oh, that's good. That's good. I needed to hear that as Yeah. What is a habit or practice that you do outside of business, outside of podcasting, that enables you to come back to podcasting, back to business, and just do it a little bit better or with more clarity?
Oh, absolutely. That's a great question for me. I'm also an Indian classical dancer. So I do go to a lot of places, and that has actually shaped my communication. That's why I've kept it so broader, that, when you meet people, when you show your art, you connect on art. So as we say, art and music, they are great equalizers. So that helps you to open up so many channels of conversation. So art has a great way to get into people's life and connect people. Sometimes we don't understand the lyrics, but we enjoy music. So that's the power of music. It transcends boundary. And that is what helped me also in my city job, to reach out to people, because I know art taught me how to do that. And I just, with my communication skills, I still continue to do that.
That's good.
I really enjoy meeting people, just all sorts of people from all different places and walks of life. And that energizes me to continue to meet more people. And the podcast has really been an amazing vehicle to invite people to have a conversation that I might not ever have gotten to have, or to get to meet that person, and just spend time and share, is powerful.
Yeah, and maybe that's why you're good at podcasting, or you lean towards it, is because of that curiosity gene of people. Like, you're curious of people, you love meeting them, and I find the conversations I have off the podcast aren't too different than the conversations I have. You'll ask anybody that knows me, he asks a lot of questions. He's always inverting, he's contrarian, all these things, and you hear it here. So I like that. It's almost like there's a better word for it, but a cycle that feeds itself. It's like I go out and I meet someone not on a podcast, and then I come back to my podcast, I'm more excited or curious. I love that. That's a unique answer. Haven't heard that yet. All right, final question. I could do this for hours with both of you. Obviously, you're podcast experts. This is fun. One final question, though. With everything changing, with AI, with just everything changing constantly and change, let's talk about one thing you hope doesn't change. What do you hope stays the same in 10, 15 years? That maybe we have it today, or maybe we're losing it, but you just hope in 10, 15 years, wherever AI is at, that's cool, but this needs to be here.
Good purpose and focus. It should not get lost. If you are not purpose and what you are focusing on, you see the channels will change, the technology will change, but all your goal and what exactly you want to achieve from that will never change. So be mindful of that.
I'm just gonna go with, simply put, making sure that there's lots of opportunities for personal engagement with each other. That we don't go over virtual.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I appreciate the convenience of virtual as much as anyone, but there's nothing like sitting down with an individual and sharing a coffee.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, it's like in the Bible, there's a reason he didn't say 2, 3 meet over Zoom, I'm with you. It's 2 to 3 in the same room, I'm with you. So I like that. And I think there is that power to a few people in a room that you just can't get online. So to your point, leverage, maximize, enhance your life with it, but don't be consumed and fall into the digital black hole. I love it. Well, thank you both so much for coming on. This was the first time I've done this, and I had so much fun learning from 2 people versus 1. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Jordan. And always stay curious. That will be my last
I love
piece of advice to you. Stay curious. Curiosity feeds good mind.
And that is, go ahead, Dibber.
I was going to say, just thank you, Jordan, and be blessed.
Thank you. Thank you. You both take care. And this is the end of the podcast. Thank you for making it to the end. It means the world to me that you watch or you listen to this episode, and hopefully you're walking away with new insights to improve how you think about marketing in life and help you make progress on what matters to you. But one thing before you go, if you could subscribe wherever you're listening to this or watching, that would really help out both you getting the episodes right when they come out and raising this podcast in the rankings. So hopefully more people like you can listen to this. And if there's anything that I can do to make this podcast more beneficial for you, if it's somebody you think I should interview, if you're the person, please comment, please email me. It's in the show notes so we can just continually deliver more value to you, the listener. Again, thank you for watching and have a great rest of your day, evening, week, and hope to see you here next time.